Okay, welcome to the Village of Wappingers Falls meeting of the Mayor and the Board of Trustees for today, July 29th, 2020. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and
and
to the republic
for which it
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all. Okay, and John Carge, would you do the roll call?
Okay, roll call. Mayor Alexander,
Here?
Trustee Markajon,
Kevin, take the mute off.
I'm here.
Trustee Davis,
Here.
Trustee Komornick,
Here. Here.
Trustee Huber,
Here.
Trustee Lamars, absent.
Trustee Lammers is attending the Village of Wappingers Falls Historical Society event tonight.
Trustee Panessa, absent. Village Attorney Wallace,
Here.
Okay, so I've confirmed with the village attorney that tonight's meeting has been convened in accordance with the governor's March 13th, 2020 executive order 202.1 and all superseding orders which suspend certain provisions of the open meetings law to allow a municipal board to convene a meeting via video conferencing. In accordance with the executive order, the public has been provided with the ability to view tonight's work session meeting, and a transcript will be provided at a later date. We've done a roll call of the board members and there is a quorum present for this meeting. I've also confirmed with the village clerk that this meeting has been duly noticed. We've fulfilled our legal requirement, and that we've done that by posting a notice on the village's bulletin boards, faxing to news organizations, etc., and posting notice on the village homepage of its website and listing on the village Facebook page. So we're going to get started with, so tonight I think what we're going to do first is the notice of violations. Is that correct, John?
yes.
Okay. So will our attorney lead us through those?
Yes, we have two violation orders that were issued, OTRs, by Brian Murphy, who is present here tonight. And I just wanted to touch on 10 North Street. All right, Brian and I have been working on that particular matter. And this is under the new property maintenance code. So as you can see, that particular property maintenance code has been actually been a good enforcement tool at our disposal, and it's already paying dividends. So that particular owner contacted an attorney, and I spoke to that attorney today, and actually some of the violations have been remediated. I think there were some abandoned cars, according to Brian, who can fill you in a little bit better than I can. So what we agreed to do with his attorney and I was to adjourn this matter indefinitely. And if there's a need to come back before the board to address any work that, or scope of work that would have to be performed by the village, we can take that up at a later date, but I don't think that that's going to be necessary given the fact that he has come forward in good faith. So I'm going to ask at the conclusion of Brian's discussion in front of you, I'm going to ask the board to make a motion to adjourn that particular matter to a later date. And I don't have a date for it yet, but let's adjourn it for at least 2 months. Let's see what happens. Brian, do you have any comment? you want to
No,
add?
I agree with you. I think an adjournment for 2 months will allow us to work further with the owner of the property. They did remove 4 unregistered vehicles within the last couple of days and are attempting to clean it up. And like you were saying earlier, I had spoken with his attorney also, who had reiterated that, he's, speaking with his client to help us get this property cleaned up. And that's really all I have to say with that, except, Mayor, I don't know if you wanted to share videos. I sent you a couple emails with some pictures that we issued the OTRs for, and then some pictures that were taken today that are showing everything, all the vehicles removed.
Yeah, so I think what we'll do is, since we're going to be putting this off anyway, we will just save those for the next meeting. But suffice it to say that the pictures show that there has been improvement on the property, and it is it's not insubstantial, and so when we take a vote, we'll consider whether or not this is something that we would like to put off until the next time, until August 12th.
Well, Mayor, I was going to suggest that we put this off to September 9th.
Oh, okay, that's right. I'm sorry, I heard that.
Or September 23, whatever I think maybe the 23rd would be since it's a workshop. That would be a less traffic on the agenda.
Okay,
So why don't we put it on, I'm going to ask the board to make a motion to adjourn this matter for a possible fact-finding hearing on September 23 at the workshop meeting. So I'd ask that the board make a motion.
and so that's just for 10 North Street?
That's just for 10 North Street.
Okay, so is there any discussion from the board?
So he has until the 23rd to clean it up, right? You're saying?
Yes.
This is what Brian is going to now take, he's going to go back there and he's going to take note of what violations remain. And then we're going to go back to his attorney and see if if he can start chipping away at the various violations, right, Brian?
Yes. Yep.
So that if he's able to get them done and resolved to Brian Murphy's satisfaction, I'm hoping that matter can actually be withdrawn in your consideration. Because the whole idea here is just, it's not to penalize, it's to clean it up. That's all. We want remediation.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, that's all I have.
So it would be a control date, I guess, for September 23 at this particular time, unless we're not seeing good signs. And if that's the case, we may have a hearing on that date, and we'll give you, Brian will give you the scope of work way in advance, right, Brian?
Yep.
Okay. So I'd ask the board to make a motion to adjourn this matter for control purposes to September 23.
All right, so is there any other discussion from the board? If there's no other discussion, can we get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Seconded by, who was that?
Billy.
Billy Markajon?
Billy.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, so that passes. And what I have is that there's 4 board members as ayes and 2 are absent. Okay, so is there any action to take with respect to 25 South Remsen? That should say South Remsen on the agenda.
Sorry about that. Brian, we noticed it, right? Correct?
Yes, correct. He was served registered mail, posted on the property, and actually regular mail also, which is all documented.
All right, well, he was supposed to, he was noticed to have a hearing tonight in front of you all. And as you can see, he is not present in Village Hall, at this particular point in time. We're going to serve him again because we would like to come before you, or Brian is going to give you the scope of work on that. We didn't get that to the board in time, and I feel like it's in everyone's best interest because this could be a default situation to have this, the scope of this particular work and what needs to be done before your consideration, before you authorize that the work be done and placed on the homeowner's tax bill, corresponding tax bill, because he's going to end up paying for it if he does not exercise his due process rights to be heard. Okay. Anything else you want to add, Brian, or any board members have any questions?
I would just like to add, if it is going to get adjourned, it should only be adjourned to the next meeting. Whatever we have to get together, we will get together ASAP.
So we gave him his notice. We gave him the compliance notice with plenty of time in
Correct,
advance.
yes,
but
correct.
you have to serve him tomorrow with the new notice date, which would be on August 12th. So,
But that we're not going to. That's without just posting it on the door. That's not going to work. I'm not going to be able to get that done. We had previously noticed them for this one, with registered mail and everything like that. So
well, that's a jurisdictional issue that is satisfied. So this is just a continuation of that hearing, and it's just going to be adjourned on our request to August 12th. Okay.
Okay.
So we're okay there. We'll be fine.
Good.
All right. He's
Yep.
been noticed twice. He'll be noticed twice for the same hearing. He's had 6
Yeah.
weeks to appear.
Okay, so will there be any discussion on this from the board?
I'd like to say something. I mean, this man has been talked to how many times? He refuses to go to court. He refuses to pay the fine. So I don't think we should give him that much time. I mean, enough is enough.
What I can say, Trustee Komornik, is this. On August 12th, Brian Murphy will be ready to go forward with this hearing and explain to you the scope of work that's going to be performed at that particular time, right? And he may show up at that hearing at that particular time if he's watching this, and he may have his say, okay? And you'll give him that consideration. But if he does not appear and the board is so inclined, you may authorize, the village superintendent or highway super or, the building department to remediate these issues. Brian, what is the scope of work at this particular point in time?
Well, the scope of work right now would be what I would be looking for tonight would be property maintenance, mow the lawn and cut down all the obnoxious growth for tonight. In the future, we also say to him his garage appears that the roof is about to collapse. That I understand is going to take a little bit of, we got to get our engineer and so forth. But the property maintenance issue, it's clear, mow the lawn and cut down all the obnoxious growth. That's all that has to be done.
Okay, well, that's
Who-
low-hanging fruit, so to speak.
Who originally served this owner?
For this OTR, we did it return receipt through the post office. I personally posted it on the property, and we also mailed it regular mail.
Yeah. Did you have any conversations with them?
No.
Okay.
I've had in the past, previously, but not for this one. Attorney Wallace, I would assume that we had him in court before, and we did win. We got fines, and now we're to here.
With a better law.
Yes, correct, absolutely.
All right, so I'd ask that the board make a motion to adjourn for a public hearing, the order to remedy at 25 South Missouri,
Remsen.
right?
Remsen.
Remsen, I'm
Remsen.
sorry, South Remsen.
And would the clerk make a note to change that on the next agenda
To August 12th.
to August 12th, and also to change Mizzier to Remsen? And make sure that, Brian, you have that correct on all your paperwork. I think you did.
I believe I do.
Is this the gentleman that made the comment that he would go to jail before he fixed anything?
Yes, correct. And a few other choice words.
Okay, is there any other discussion on this? Can we have a motion to adjourn this until August 12th? Which is the next board meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Huber. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, I'd like to ask if the board would make a motion to suspend the rules so that we can change the order of the agenda and allow the resolution to proceed with Restore New York project number AB 765.
I'll make it, Mayor.
Second,
Second.
seconded by trustee Komornick. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so as you know, quite a few years ago, we received, and quite a few investors ago, we received a grant from New York State to assist in the reconstruction of Goring Hall. We've been showing new design concepts for that, and we have also talked to the state about that concept, and what they've said is that they would allow us to continue to use the Restore New York funding, and that we would be able to move forward with this project in a one-story construction. So I think everybody here has seen the drawings, and I would like to know if we could move forward with signing a contract with the state to become the agency which receives the grant. This grant, in this case, would go on to the entity that would do the work to make the structure that we're getting the grant for. And this would be in the amount of $156,000. So I would like to ask if our attorney could talk to us about this. This has gone through a long history, but we were unable to work within the confines of the site limitations of this location. And I think that this is a good way to move forward. It's a good way to do infill development on the site that exists there. And I made a mistake before I said that the grant was $156,000. It's actually $156,250. Craig, you want to talk to us about the resolution?
Yeah, so we're working with ESD, Empire State Development, to process this application. And one of the, there's a couple of outstanding conditions that we have to fulfill before the application can be processed. And one of which is your action tonight on this resolution authorizing the mayor to sign the contract. They want to see a formal certification and ratification that empowers the mayor to sign the contract. So that's what you have before you. this will allow the project to finally move forward and get finalized, and we can, we won't have to see an empty lot there anymore. As you can see, a lot of work has been done in the preceding months to get to today, and it's just going to keep improving, and that money is going to be earmarked for that particular lot. So, that's basically what the resolution before you is for in the background of it.
Are there any questions from the board? If there's no questions, could we get a motion to allow me to sign the application with New York State for this grant from Restore New York? And this is to allow me to sign the grant disbursement agreement.
I'll make it.
Okay, that's a motion from Trustee Huber. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Trustee Komornick. I'm going to do a roll call vote. I'll say Trustee Komornick,
Aye.
Trustee Markajon,
Aye.
Trustee Huber,
Aye.
Trustee Davis. And please note that Trustee Panessa and Lammers are absent tonight, and I will vote aye as well. Okay. Are there any other reasons why we need to change the agenda? Actually, I have one other thing I'd like to ask to continue suspending the rules, and to ask at this moment if we could allow our police commissioner, Walter Burke, to say a few words if he needs to address the board.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I submitted 3 names tonight for approval for a part-time police officer. We've lost 2 full-timers in the last 2 months. So we're kind of short-staffed right now, and we'd like to get these guys started as soon as we can.
Okay, and so do we have could you tell us the names?
I don't have it in front of me, Mayor. I'm sorry. I sent it in. I thought you guys had it.
Okay.
It's on the agenda. It's on the agenda.
Yeah, it's
Where
Louis
is-
Scagnone.
On the end of the agenda, page 4, safety.
Oh, excuse me. Okay, I see it.
I see, unless I'm missing it, I see 2 names. I don't see 3.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I submitted an updated version yesterday.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can get
I have Scagnelli and Corrado.
Yeah, there was another one that was sent to take. We're supposed to delete that one, and a new one that added Antonio Esposito is supposed to be on there.
I never got that one.
All right, sorry.
okay, we can,
And Esposito, okay. All 3 are part-time?
Yes.
Okay, is there any discussion from the board?
Have they all had a background check and all? Was that all?
Yes,
done?
they've all completed. It's been taking a while now with what's going on. We have to do certain things that we didn't do before that we have to do ourselves now. They applied back in May, and they just finally got completed the other day.
Okay,
But
thank
yeah,
you.
they've completed everything of the process.
Okay.
so I'll make a motion, if I may,
Yep.
I'll second it.
that we hire part-time patrol officer Louis Scagnelli and part-time patrol officer Daniel Corchado and part-time patrol officer Antonio Esposito.
Okay, and do you second that, Trustee Kamai?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? If there's none opposed, I'd like to ask also now that if we could accept the resignation of the officer named on our agenda, Police Officer Rocky Nicky, effective July 30th, 2020.
I'll make it.
Second,
I'll second it.
seconded by Trustee Davis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Second.
Okay. All right. Okay, so at this time, I think we can ask John Zarowski. Do you have anything else for us, Walter?
No, that'll be it for tonight.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Walter. John Zarowski, you want to talk to us about the items of construction?
Okay. All right, so we have Franny Reese Park. We had, Central Hudson will be there tomorrow to set the new pole. They're working right now on the sidewalk in front of the site. And we had to remind them politely that they're not supposed to be closing the road until 9 o'clock. So hopefully, let me know if that doesn't happen. The last few days, apparently, they've been setting up the work area too soon. So we're trying to get them to, it's in 3 places in the contract. We're on top of that. We've sent out a notification to make sure that they're flying with the contract. I'm sorry about the traffic jams last year. Paving will be in August, then they are on schedule to be done by the September 11th completion date. More than likely, they will be done in August. Moving ahead to the pedestrian safety project, 8661.74. Again, pedestrian lighting sidewalk of the project. Work is beginning on that along West Main Streets. New sidewalks can slope require the minimum 4-foot width access for the handicap. Contact has been working there with the residences. Again, they're on schedule to be completed on October 17th for the completion date. There was a question, Kevin, you had asked a question a while ago about that sloped area. That is for ADA access. That you asked me that question during another meeting, but there's that slope section that you had inquired about is for ADA access. Moving forward, contract 5. We are just progressing with plans to move toward submitting to the DPW and the health department, the Dutchess County Health Department. Pushing those quickly ahead, regardless of what the town is doing with their pump station, just because we need to get this ahead for our funding reasons. We are supposed to be, I'm just going to keep pointing this out, we're supposed to have host a public hearing for this project sometime in the near future. Bidding is targeted for late this year with construction next year. Moving to the water filter building in the USDA funding application. We are moving ahead. We're just about ready. We're just in final QA/QC on that. That should be submitted very soon. I think we've got all the information. It's a very complex application, and there was a little bit of goofiness with some of the formatting that we inquired to the USDA, but they're not actually responding. So, again, they're probably working from home still. But they were almost done there. That's just about ready. Mains Park Survey and Master Plan, we have done the draft survey is done and completed. The project kickoff meeting is supposed to be sometime in September. And we're going to be working to like a conceptual master plan for Bain Park, a site design for the playground equipment area, and then like also continuing the long form part EAF. The grease trap has been moving forward. We're working on that. The project committee meeting needs to be scheduled. And this is a 2-year grant, but we're looking to finish this year as well. The Brownfield Assessment, we're moving ahead with the bleachery on that. We've submitted our health and safety plan and work plan to the EPA. We're waiting to hear back from them. for their approval on that, and then we'll be out there doing the phase 2 at the bleacher. The water and sewer infrastructure study, nothing has changed there, and nothing has changed on IG Terrace, the sewer main environmental extensions. Any questions?
Okay, are there any questions for John?
I have a question.
Sure.
On the sidewalks going up West Main Street, and this might be a stupid question, but how come some of them are flat and the other ones are, the other ones going by the curb are all tilted to the road?
Again, that's ADA access.
That's what?
ADA access.
Really?
The issues.
Because you still have a curb there.
Yeah, we need the link. Even though there's a curve, we still need it to be there. So,
Okay.
So, Ronnie, they're going to have to be reviewed by DOT, and they will have to meet DOT's ADA requirements. And so
Okay.
they will be reviewed again for whether or not they meet ADA standards. And actually, I would invite the trustees to join in on that walk when that happens. But
Okay.
we've had this happen before on some of the other sidewalks. There is a couple of other places where they've made funky grade changes and slopes in order to meet ADA requirements. And this sounds like it's an example of that.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I got one, Mayor.
Yep, go ahead.
I noticed that.
For John?
Yeah, for John, yep. I noticed on, it'd be the west side of West Main Street, we're doing the sidewalks now. You're running pipe into the village roadway. Like, I guess it must be for down leaders.
okay.
I'm sure it's in the village code that we cannot drain water onto our roads. I don't know why we couldn't drain that into a sewer, or sewer, you know, the catch basins down the street from there. I don't know why we couldn't run a PVC underneath the sidewalk. When
It's
they
on
did.
the TAP project.
Yeah, the TAP project.
Yeah, so there was no drainage on the TAP project. So unfortunately, there's no drainage in the area. That's part of this project that we connect to. It can't be connected to the sanitary sewer, because that's,
I was talking more of the storm drain sewer line, running it into there instead of onto our roads. Because if I remember correctly, I think last year we had water come off onto West Main Street. Parked cars were sliding down the road, and the highway department got called out one early morning to salt.
That's a bad spot.
And there's another one that it's always leaking water, and I mean it's just I don't know if they're going to do the same thing with a pipe, but that one there is always wet. It's up the hill from the other ones that are up. They already have the pipe work out to West Main.
this project does not include drainage improvements, so not how it was funded. I can talk to Nancy and see if there's something we can do about it, but again, this project specifically excluded drainage improvement.
It was one of those things that, you know, since we have it open, we could fix the problem, you know, instead of ripping it up later on. Because I'd hate to rip up those sidewalks later on to fix the problem. But again, those sidewalks are already down
Drainage
down the street. So.
funding for this project did not have, nor does the contract have any drainage improvements in it. So this would be an extra for the village.
I think the engineer of the designing would have stuck up with the village for the best interest in saying, you know, you got a water issue. Let's see if we can fix this while we're here.
Well, again, the funding specifically excluded drainage improvements.
Yeah.
So we ran up against this on East Main Street. And if it's anything like the East Main Street drainage situation, which we did go through, it would seriously delay the grant awarded projects to the point where we might not be able to recoup the original grant.
I was just thinking more of when the design purpose was there. I mean, I'm sure we all knew about the water leaking onto West Main and the pipes going onto West Main, and, you know, I just thought maybe the engineers would have thought of the best of the village at this point.
Our hands were tied with what we could do with drainage because of the funding for the project and DOT involvement. They would not pay for drainage.
Yeah, I can tell you too, though, that the project that would be for 26, I believe 2693, 2695, and 2697 West Main Street, which would be the O'Toole's, the brick building and the cinder block building. So the developer who has control, the developers who have control over those 3 parcels there have been meeting with me to discuss with the state drainage solutions for a potential rebuild of those 3 parcels. And drainage is at the top of their wish list for that area. And I think it was the feeling last year that at that time we would be able to attract and really build for what might be built in the future on the drainage side.
All right, just bringing it up, the same.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it goes in this order, but we did have to spend that $500,000 at in this case before a certain date. If we had changed the drainage, it would have been only for the buildings that exist on West Main Street, not for the buildings that would be built in the future. Were there any other questions for John?
Nope.
Okay, if there's no other questions, we'll keep going, and I think that's it for you, John. Thank you.
I'll take off. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
All right, John Carge, would you talk to us about, actually, I had spoken to Kevin Huber about the boathouse project that we are getting back up and going after its many months of being stopped due to the coronavirus and also a medical issue that the general contractor was facing at the same time. So that's about to get ready to go back up and running, and we do need a contractor to go to finish the work that needs to get done there. I talked to Kevin Huber, and we had talked about it at the last meeting, I believe. And I also asked John Carge to follow our procurement policy and to get us quotes for 3 contractors who would be able to do the work required. And John Carge, do you want to talk to us about the results you got?
Okay, consistent with the procurement policy, I advertised for a carpenter contractor about 5 weeks ago and put it in the paper, did not get any hits. So I reached out to 3 contractors that we have used in the village in the past. And I had 3 different quotes. BHR Construction, $45 an hour. European Craftsman and Remodeling, $65 to $75 an hour. Mark Longto, $37 an hour. Those are the 3 bids. Mark is the low bid. And I think the other benefit with Mark is that he knows the lay of the land down there. So I need to have a motion to hire Mark Longto.
And this would just be for the work that is needed at the boathouse.
I'll make the motion. We hire Mark at $37.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Billy Markajon?
Maybe Kevin.
No, Huber. Huber?
Yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next item on the agenda is, I should have had John stay here for this, but we are in request of allowing to release the last payment to Argenio Brothers for contract number 4. I believe everybody's had a chance to go over the issues that are there. And is there any discussion on that project?
Matt, can I back up 1 minute? I had my my mute on. I voted nay.
Oh, for Mark?
Yes,
Okay, so
I'm sorry. I just I had it off.
okay, so I will vote yes, and that makes it 4-1 and 2 absent. Okay, on the issue of releasing the last payment, is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, can I get a motion?
Do we have a punch list on that? Was there a punch list on for them?
There was last year, and we've been going through that. We believe that it's finished. That's why I'm bringing it up here for you guys to talk about.
Kevin Huber, was there any outstanding items we were waiting for on that?
The last thing that they were waiting for was to deal with Mrs. Tomlins over on Weston County, and I believe that they worked out a deal between Argenio and Mrs. Tomlins.
And there is a new fence a new gate at that location.
Okay, my purpose was just to make sure there's nothing else outstanding. If there's nothing outstanding, I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Trustee Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, but Trustee Komornik. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next item on the agenda is we did Restore New York. And we would like to ask Todd Bowen, who is our social media expert, to talk to us about what he's been doing. Todd?
Sure. So last May, early June of this year, we got a new notification system for village residents. It's called Gov Delivery. Residents can get email or text notifications. They can sign up for the following topics: meeting notices, village news, emergency notifications, and Parks and Rec updates. On top of that, we've been discussing the 9-element plan and how we can advertise it. And for social media, on top of our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, we have a LinkedIn account now for the village. So we're looking to grow that. Website update. We have been working on a more secure website with Dutchess County and giving us some tips on how we can maximize security for the website. The biggest thing would be the forms. All the forms on the village website are now fillable. Some have been redone, like the peddler's permit and the park usage form. But the biggest thing with that is all forms are fillable now.
So just so everybody knows what that means, it used to be that you would have to find the form that you needed and print it out and then fill it out with a pen or a typewriter. And now what you're able to do is type in right from the computer. And Todd, will you be able to forward that directly to Brian?
No.
No. Why? Because you have to sign it?
You have to sign it, and there's some forms have fees.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so for the fee and most forms have a fee associated with them. So there is a requirement for a signature.
And we just had
Keep
two
going.
more things. This week, we completed frequently asked questions on the website. We put together some of the most ask questions for the following departments: treasurer, water, building, planning, and zoning, the clerk, and the Parks and Rec department. So those are located on the actual page of those departments. And then as of yesterday, we added a How Do I tab on the website underneath the government tab on the website. There's 3 categories: apply for, contact, and find. So when you go to those categories, it'll say like apply for handicap permit, peddler's permit, that type of stuff, and like the contact the mayor or building zoning, and then the find, like find local laws, agendas and minutes, stuff like that. So that's available on the website for the residents as well. Other than that, those have been the biggest things that we have worked on.
Okay, thank you, Todd. Any questions?
Good job, Todd.
Okay, if there's no questions from Todd, we are still talking about the license agreement for Mary Ross Park. And we have a final document here, and I would just like to ask if, and it is what we said at the last meeting, and so it includes the following conditions, which are that the park must be closed by midnight. The use by the licensee is only allowed during the following times: Sunday from 1 to 8 p.m., not allowed on Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., Thursday 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., Friday 5 p.m. to midnight, Saturday 3 p.m. to midnight. The park portion must not be utilized Monday through Tuesday. As we said, public access to the park must be allowed at all times, even if somebody is being served, even if somebody stops at a fast food restaurant and picks up a bag of food from another town and drives into the village and wants to sit down and eat their lunch at this location, they would be allowed to, provided that there is not another person sitting in the seat already. Live or recorded music outside the establishment will only be allowed by securing the permission of the 3rd and 2nd Ward trustees. Live or recorded music inside the establishment must not be heard outside. The park must be maintained by the licensee for litter, landscaping, and repairs. There would be a rent of $1 per year during the amortization period of the improvements, which would be 10 years. And after that, the rent would be reset at a market value to be determined in 10 years. The agreement is to be renewed each year and is subject to review of noise, congestion, and maintenance. And there would be a $250 fine for the first event that was too large, or the first time that music was determined to be too loud, and a $500 fine for the second time. And then there would be a demand to be heard in front of the village board the third time. The village would be able to reserve the use of the park, even if it was to be in the hours stated above that the licensee was allowed to use the space at Mary Ross Park. And the seating would have to remain so that off-hour visitors could visit and use that seating, except for during the time of winter. So the seating could be removed from November 15th through April 15th. And that would be, and it could also be allowed to stay there during that time, but it would be allowed to be removed during that time. All signage changes for the licensee must be approved by the planning board, and that was that portion, the revocable license granted would not be a conveyance of real property. It would not intend to grant or convey to the licensee the exclusive use of the land on which the licensee would construct its improvements, which would be a permanent attachment to our property, the village's public property, and would remain after this, this agreement is no longer in force. So those were the main clauses of this agreement, along with the other clauses that you heard at the last meeting. And I just wanted to hear if there were any other discussion points for this tonight, after you've had the couple of weeks to think about what we had been talking about.
I have a question.
Sure.
On liability, how will that fall?
The licensee would have to provide to the village his insurance, and he would have to provide coverage to the village, and he would have to name the village an additional insured, and it would require that a single limit policy in the amount of at least $1 million for death or bodily injury and property damage liability claims, public liability insurance, blanket contractual liability, broad form property damage liability insurance, and dram shop coverage. The LLC would have to furnish to the village a copy of the above described policies or a certificate showing issuance thereof to the village, naming the village as additional insured in the policy.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
So under that insurance, Mayor, this is going to cost the village nothing, correct? Just the landowner or the owner of that?
Right, he would be responsible for all improvements to the property.
Okay.
And we would be, those improvements would require our approval.
Yeah.
And they would be the same as the ones presented at the last meeting. There's been no changes to them since that last rendering.
I think it's a good idea. I'm just, making sure.
So if the board is okay with this, I would like to ask if we would be ready to take a vote to move further and to allow us to negotiate this settlement, this agreement with the licensee. And if you're happy with that agreement the way I stated, could we have a motion to move forward?
I'll make it. Billy,
Kevin.
Kevin.
So we had a motion by trustee Kevin Huber and a second
Kamornik.
by trustee Komornik. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So this concludes everything that's been put on the agenda for tonight. At this time, I'd like to ask if there's any discussion from the board members.
Are we having an executive session?
Yes.
I can bring something up before any executive session.
Okay. Cindy, did you need to talk to us about anything?
I just wanted to get the board's approval to allow the Wappingers Indians football team to use Temple Field as a practice field for preparation for their season. To be honest with you, they don't have a starting date for that season yet, but they had reached out to us because they are not able to use the junior high field that they traditionally use for practicing games. I did come up with some guidelines for them using that field that are based on the CDA recommendations about social distancing and what they can and cannot do in terms of, it has to be a strictly conditioning situation. They cannot play games. They cannot have scrimmages. We would require them to provide us with insurance and also to cover the cost of putting a porta-john down there during the time that they would be using it for practices. So I'm asking the board to entertain a motion for me to move ahead with them on that. I just felt if you had any questions or concerns that I would like to hear them prior to this, or if you think that this is not something that we want to become involved in, I certainly can tell them that we are not able to do it at this point in time.
I guess it goes without saying that they can't do it on school property because it's not allowed by the state right now.
That would be correct. I think that the school district, since they had not quite determined, fall sports have been pushed off. So I think that that's the major issue right now, is because if they're pushing off scholastic sports, they're not going to allow outside groups to use those fields either at this point in time. There's 70 kids that would be involved in this. I am putting restrictions on them as to how many kids can be on the field at one time and how they have to be spaced apart. And they're agreeable to it. Again, they are not having a meeting until August 5th to determine if they're even going to proceed with having any kind of a league this year. So, I just want to be able to give them the go-ahead if they do decide that they want to move forward with it, and they want to utilize the space that we have.
I know that a lot of the traveling sports teams are using facilities out there. I'm not aware of. I know that in one situation, this was across the river, there was one COVID incident and they isolated that right away. I don't foresee a big problem here, but I think that if we're going to consider this, I think we need to make sure that we have every stringent rule in place possible for the protection of these kids. So maybe between now and the August meeting that we take a look at it and make sure that every regulation that is out there that seems, there's folks doing it already that we could get feedback from, but I think we need to be very, very stringent about this.
I can provide the board with a copy of the guidelines that I'm asking them to follow, and you can certainly make any additions to it that you feel are necessary. I was very, very cautious in terms of what I would allow them to do. So, and being very, very mindful of what the state was putting out there as far as usage, and also what the CDC guidelines were as well. The town of Wappingers has been allowing some of their Little League is back playing on their fields, and so are the soccer teams and stuff. So, there are other municipalities that have started to allow their leagues to start up again. We don't normally have any, so it definitely wasn't, a major concern for me to be working on, but they did reach out, they did send me a letter and ask, if there was the possibility, because they were looking for some kind of space where they might be able to, conduct practices and stuff. So, if that meets with your approval, that's what I'll do, is I'll have those guidelines available for you for the next board meeting, and you can take a look at them and we can make adjustments as necessary to allow them to practice on the field.
I'm okay with it, but it sounds like there might be a desire for a review of the actual agreement. And so I think, could we make this, if we do make this motion tonight, could I ask that we make this motion and have there be contingent upon review by a committee of trustees that we could name here tonight, and they could work with Craig and Cindy to make sure that we're covered.
Yeah, we want to make sure also that there's spectator policies in there too, because high school is a little different. You're going to have parents, friends, family, and it's more of a social thing with football. So I think we just have to make sure that we're cognizant of that fact too.
Any other comments from the board? Do you want to move forward with a motion with that contingency in place?
Yeah, do we want to make a committee?
So could I get Scott, Kevin, and Ronnie?
Okay.
Okay. And then you could have Craig also with you. And
Okay.
Cindy.
I'll make the motion that we allow them to use the field based on all the guidelines that will be put in place prior by the, through the guidance of the committee that we just formed.
And contingent upon that committee's acceptance.
Exactly.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And that was Kevin Huber was the second. Anybody else have anything?
Yeah, Mayor, before I forget, I almost forgot. I was talking to the village garbage clerk, and there's been some calls for cleanup. And I think we came up with some kind of a solution for cleanup or if the village would want to do it in the fall. The town of Fishkill does it at Gearing Park, and they bring it to them. So meaning you would have to bring it to, I'll say, down to the staging area where Royal Karting would be parked. I'm assuming that's what we would use for the cleanup. And it's so that's just news how the town of Fishkill has it set up. I would kind of like to do something similar as that if the village is interested in this year. I mean, I think we haven't had it in a few years, and bringing it to them would be the cheaper way to go. We could save money. I don't know how the board feels.
Yeah, I'm okay with that for myself, but I know that we have a lot of elderly residents who are looking for curbside pickup. And I believe that they will call about that. So the complaint over the years when we've had it is that I can only get it to the curb. I don't have a truck. I can't transport it. So that's what the board is going to have to decide.
I mean, if we did it, I understand where you're coming from on that, Mayor, but if we did it the other way, where we brought it to them, we can control the outside dumping where the absentee landlords bring their stuff in, because it's, where I live on Main Street, and I see a lot of piles that look the same, and it's pretty rusted out refrigerators, rotten mattresses. I'm sure people do not keep that stuff in their houses.
Well,
I'm assuming that stuff's being brought in, so.
I've got a considerable amount of feedback over it. People ask me all the time. As a matter of fact, I had a yard sale the other day, and people were asking me about it then. And the feedback that I've gotten over since we've had the last one is everybody they don't want to have to take it anywhere. And a lot of them that live on the town of Wappinger's side can take it to the town of Wappinger's one anytime they want to anyway, which isn't much farther than or as far as taking it somewhere here and dumping it. But the expense of a one-shot deal to take it to them versus the expense of a one-shot deal, put it on the front street. Yeah, the landlords are a problem, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be very popular, and I get so much negativity about taking it anywhere. I'm just throwing that up there. I don't know. We'll do what everybody wants to do, but it's not very popular out there.
Well, do you want to set this on the agenda for August 12th for more discussion?
We could, but I'm going to be out of town August 12th.
Can we put something out on the village website to get folks?
You could zoom into us with the waves behind you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Can we get something on the village website to have people give their input? Can we get some kind of consensus out there? I'm sure Fast and Furious and the Needles would point one way or the other.
What date were you looking at, Kevin?
I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't know, October? I mean, definitely.
Oh, so.
Because I know the town of Fishkill has one on, I checked my email because I got the paperwork on it. The town of Fishkill has one on a Saturday. So, I mean, ours wouldn't be on a Saturday if we did curbside service. It would definitely be during the week. I mean, I don't know if you can put it together in a month, but I mean, October, I think would be the best.
Does town of Poughkeepsie have a dump station?
Yeah, it's up in Tucker Drive in Poughkeepsie, and it's free to all town of Poughkeepsie residents, but it's, you know, a certain amount or certain times a day during the week.
I'm sure that's what prohibits everybody from one of the other
Like a
reasons.
town officer. Yeah. I mean, I brought this up in the past, is maybe we can make an exception for the whole village to go in on the town of Wappinger on a shared service where we can go over there and, you know, I know the residents have to pay yearly for a permit to dump there. I mean, that's another thing we could be looking into, where we wouldn't have to have this cost, and the residents can go periodically throughout the whole year and get rid of their stuff at the
What do you
town.
mean, at the dump?
Yeah, yep,
The town dump.
the town
Oh,
dump.
Oh, the town dump, yeah.
Yeah.
Town recycle center.
I definitely like to see a cleanup done, but I'm just saying, after this, maybe we can talk to the supervisor where we can get the first ward as part of the town of Wappinger. This way, we don't have to go all the way to Tucker Drive in Poughkeepsie. We can just go right in our backyard, like, you know, the second and third ward. I mean, it's a talk. I don't know how it would work. I could talk to.
I think we could definitely, you could do that. That's definitely a good idea. So it might be good to get Kevin, you, me, and Billy could talk to the town about that together, if you want.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's something we can look into after we do our cleanup. You know, this way.
The town had been, I believe the town had been selling permits outside the town anyway.
Have they?
Yeah, so I think that, I think that they might be willing to entertain that idea. But we could go discuss that with them.
Yeah. All right, so, I mean, I guess if the board was willing to do it, maybe we can, I mean, I'm gonna be away the following meeting.
Well, you know what, I don't think it wouldn't be bad for us to get comments anyway at the next meeting.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and set that on the agenda for the August 12th meeting, John? And Todd, you can make sure that it's advertised well, and we will we'll work on that at the next meeting, and you can see the response that we get.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Todd's
That's
not
all.
on.
Yeah, he'll hear that though anyway. Are there anything else? We do have an executive session item about the bargaining agreement, as well as a personnel item. So if there's nothing else, does anybody have anything else from the board? John? And we got Cindy taken care of.
The only thing I would like to say, Todd's not here, he left, is that having Todd around with his experience in the IT field has, I believe, saved the village a considerable amount of money. I know I haven't called Craig Roberts in quite a while, and we were calling him almost on a weekly basis, and having Todd here now is, hey, Todd, come on in. I hear that all afternoon. So we just like to say he really contributes to the village.
And I'd like to say, during all this time, he has been going in that hall and working on project after project for months. And I really want to thank him for doing that.
If I could just add something too, it is a godsend that I get an email that tells me that somebody left a voicemail on the phone system. It has simplified my life because I can't tell you how many times I locked myself out of the phone message system because I couldn't remember how to put the codes in. So it's just so much simpler for me to get an email that says I need to call this person back and here's what it's all about. It's just been a godsend. It really has.
Okay, Jessica, did you want to update us on anything this time around? Do you have anything?
Not really.
Okay. Any questions for Jessica? Okay, if there's no questions for Jessica, I would like to ask if we could get a motion to go into executive session with our attorney, Rich Zuckerman, and my assistant, Corey Yusevich, to discuss the bargaining unit agreement and matters having to do with personnel. So if, could I get a motion?
I will make that motion.
Second?
Second,
Seconded by trustee Markajon.
Huber.
Huber, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,